Okay, today we're going to have a little bit of fun and talk about whether or not we should accept commissions as artists. Is that a good thing to do or not a good thing to do? Uh, I personally think it's a fabulous thing to do. It's not the only thing I do. I certainly do artwork that I just want to do, and lots of it, but commissions are great. Why would you not want to do commissions? So you get to learn new things. You get to do subject matter you would not have even considered doing because it was just in your thought process or your experience background. And somebody comes in with their idea and you think, all right, it's sometimes scary, it's challenging, but so you get to learn new things, you get new challenges, you get to earn income. Ouch. You get to feel fear. You get to overcome fear. You get to, overcoming fear, that's good. When you overcome fear, that helps you develop more courage because you've had that experience. And then later on, the next time you get in some situation where you're doing some new thing that is scary again, you're going through that learning process again and that earning process again and that fear process again and that overcoming fear process again. You have a little more courage to go into it because it worked out last time and it worked out the time before that and the time before that, because this is not the last time you're going to take a commission, is it? No, it's not. So let's see. So some people would think it's selling out to sell anything, whether you're commissioned or not. They're just like they're insane because they've been influenced by some art teacher who clearly was in the backwash of the modern art era, and they never were one of the ones that did that new thing first, and so they were just always following along, tagging along with stuff that couldn't sell, and so they really wanted to sell out their art, but they couldn't. And so if you sold it, it became selling out of your creativity and your originality and your being an artist. That's just one theory. Anyway, it's not selling out. It's, though I'd very much like to sell out my work, but everything that's in here, that'd be nice. I have a sellout. Come on, let's sell out. Help me. You can buy something and I'll help you sell out too. Anyway, so it's not selling out, but it's buying in. It's buying into the idea that you can be an artist with an income. Whoa, think about that. That'd be kind of nice. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to refer to my notes here. Challenges, okay. Not only you get income, but you're showing that you're an artist who will take on new challenges, that strives to do art very well, even if it's a subject matter they didn't pick. So in effect, you need to decide what kind of person you are, what kind of artist you are. Really, what kind of artist are you? Something to consider. So the only way you can really sell out is if you do dopey artwork. If you're just a dopey artist, if you're not willing to put in the time and the effort and the energy to exercise self-discipline and self-mastery, to develop the skills and learn the principles related to artistic practices to become really good at your craft. That would be selling out. Everyone loses if you sell out like that. So when I commission a painting, somebody commissions me to paint a painting, I determine two things. And the first one is I am going to do such excellent work, not just do a painting, not just do a subject matter I've never done before, but do it so that when it's done, it is art work. And such excellent artwork that I am pleased with it, that I am proud to include it as part of the body of work that I create, that I have created, that I share with the world. I'm pleased to have people see it. I believe that it can help other people want something that I paint. All right? And the other thing, when I'm commissioned, that I'm determined to do is paint such excellent art that my client is happy and satisfied beyond their expectations. And typically, if I'm that happy with it, they always are. It's not, well, not always. There have been occasions when I have had a painting completed, I delivered it, I thought everything was fine, it seemed to satisfy me, and then there was something about the painting that they would prefer to have altered. And they pointed it out to me, and I said, sure, I will change that. And if it's within my capacity to do as an artist, if I have the skill to do it, I'll certainly do it. It's not my painting, it's their painting. They should be totally happy with it. And likely, and every time I can remember, it was something that really should have been changed. I just hadn't seen it. You can do paintings, and people can come in and see things in my paintings that I never saw. It never occurred to me. And it, based on what they saw and told me about, some of those things have become some of my favorite parts of paintings I have done. And I didn't even know they were there. It's just kind of funny. So I am not the God of creativity, and neither are you. Consider your client. Think about your client. Every client you ever had or ever will have is a child of the same Creator God that you are a child of. Think of that. There's some element of creativity in all of us. It's true. Now, as artists, we apparently got a heavier dose of it, and maybe more so, we got just this compelling, passionate desire to do something with it. Whereas others may have latent talent, but it's just not their time yet to mess with creating artwork. So, who knows? But it's possible to get good ideas from clients and create excellent artwork using those ideas. Certainly, they're not going to stand over you and control everything you do and tell you when to pick up your brush and when to dip it in red versus yellow or whatever. That's ridiculous. People just don't do that. If you get a client like that, oh boy, get out of that as fast as you can. But that's so rare. Don't even worry about it. It's so unlikely to happen. So you can do art, you can feel creative, and you can have an income too. So might as well go for it. All right, so let's go over some examples. Have you ever heard of an artist named Michelangelo? Michelangelo. I bet you have. Okay, so did Michelangelo ever take commission work? You bet your life. Did he like it? Well, when he was doing sculpture. Did he like painting that ceiling? I don't think so. He did not like that experience. And he was at it a long time. And yet, if you study which panels were painted, in what order they were painted, and you look at the ones that were painted earlier on compared to the ones that were painted later on, his skill level improved. The paintings, the figures, the nature of the human body and parts and features were better and better. Did he care about the quality of his work? Did he care about the skill level that he had? Did he have personal discipline? You bet your life he did. But it was a commission. Did they control everything? No, they didn't control everything. He was very creative. Clearly, based on what he did with the Pope's face and some of those. So, if that was selling out, I personally want to thank Michael for selling out. Don't you? Don't we love that ceiling? We do. It's amazing. So, all right. Now, what other, let's see, who else? Okay, consider all those portraits that are in all those art museums all around the world. There's lots of them. Was that selling out? They were commissions. Most likely they were commissions. Some of those, there are paintings with families that had themselves painted as a group with the Madonna and the baby child, Jesus, or an adult Jesus at the table with them. You know, there's variety. But did the artist let the client dictate to them what content was going to be in that painting? Perhaps so. In some of the cases, I'm sure. So, did they sell out? Are we glad that artwork's here? Can we see it? Can we study it? Can we analyze how they laid out compositions and placed people and added people later in the process, as we know with some of them? Yeah, we're really glad about it. So let's thank them for selling out. Yeah. So let's start thinking about it. Commissions. What's wrong with the commission? Are you worried that you don't have enough backbone as an artist to be able to do real art? If it's a commissioned piece and it was somebody else's idea? Well, that's silly. Just get over that. All right, so I'm just going to give you some personal examples from some of my own paintings. And some of them are certainly things I would never have thought to paint or even dared think I could. So first we're going to turn the camera here and look at this painting from a scene in the Sistine Chapel that Michelangelo did. Now here's just a portion of that painting. This gentleman commissioned me to paint this scene right here of God and these characters around him. There's people that say that fabric is in the shape of a brain, and there's a lot of interesting things about it, and I find that stuff fascinating as well. But in this painting, he just was commissioned me to paint this scene just as it was. I'm supposed to recreate Michelangelo's painting, but this client wanted me to make the colors more vivid, as though it had just been painted by Michelangelo himself. Well as I could. And I had it laid out on my canvas, and I'm just about to start painting, and he calls me up and he said, "Hey, I've had an idea. What do you think about changing these faces around the God figure and have them be the faces of my grandchildren?" 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 grandchildren's faces were put in there. Well, that's pretty clever, really. I mean, it's his house. He wants more color in his house, so he wanted more vivid colors than what were currently in the books that had pictures of the Sistine Chapel in this scene. And it was interesting to me that this fabric, this red fabric that I painted red, and in some pictures it was more salmon, in some pictures it was more red, in some pictures it was more mauve. It just depended on the printer or the photographer. I don't know, but I don't know what it really was or what it actually really is currently. But happily, I got to paint it with vivid colors, so I didn't have to try to create what might be interpreted as an attempt to do forgery, even though it certainly wouldn't be a forgery because it's up on a ceiling. But and then the same with changing the faces to be current people. Then there's no concern about that. All of a sudden, I have even more liberty to make alterations and have this be a fresh piece of art based on this. So I call this God Revisited from Michelangelo. And so I had a lot of fun with this painting, and it was 64 inches tall, I can't remember, 48 inches wide, I don't know what it was. And I'm telling you, when you first start taking on a painting where you're going to try to recreate something that was done by somebody so amazing as Michelangelo, that can kind of make you nervous. I'm telling you what. But it was really fun. I went down to their house, made appointments for the house where one of the kids lived, and all the cousins gathered. And then I took a picture of each child in each of these positions. So one looking straight out. Of each child, I got him laying on a couch and looking straight at me. And each child I had in this position, looking off that direction. And each child I had in each of these positions. And then I had the liberty to choose which child's face was going to go in which spot in this painting. So I had some freedom there, which was nice. That was kind of helped me not feel like I'm selling out. Oh, this selling out business, I'm going to rub that in. Okay, so that was fun. Now we're going to switch to the next painting. Same guy commissioned it, but 3 different grandchildren. All right, now look at this. We've jumped way away from Michelangelo into Raphael. Well, not period-wise, I guess, but now he was going to commission me to do this painting in this arch shape. Just put these little characters, and I'm supposed to mimic Raphael's image of these 2 little irreverent cherubs that are there at the base of the Sistine Madonna painting, which is so serious and mature up there at the top, and you've got this irreverence there at the bottom. So I go to these cousins' house. This is a new occasion, and set them at the kitchen table. There's just a plain wall. Probably one of these kids that lived there's mother had some artwork on the wall, or family pictures or something. There's a window over on this side coming in, bringing us light this direction. So I get some nice daylight. And then they're showing up a little bit in the kitchen table it was not a wood table. I painted it to look like this, but I just reinterpreted the reflections. But if you look, see this wing? It's very similar to this wing, very similar. And, oh my heavens, he doesn't even have a wing on the other side. Poor guy. Anyway, and this one and this one are a little more flamboyant than what Raphael had done. And then I put this gal in between these 2 boys and made up her wings for myself. So it was kind of fun taking individual pictures and chopping them and put them together in Photoshop and then creating this scene. As you can see, I kind of mimicked the background with the way Raphael did the clouds. I would never have done this. I would never have thought to do a painting like this. I don't know if I would have ever done a painting that was half round in my life. Would I? I don't know. But a commission got me moving in a new direction, and I got to do this really fun piece of artwork. Pretty delightful. All right, we're going to go on to the next one. Now, this is a portrait of one of the presidents of the local university. I went to this school, and this president wanted to be out on campus with the students. She was a very in-person president, liked to involve herself with the students and make life good for the students. And there's some interesting things. This stone right here, for example, it's got their flaming W, the fire of education in their flaming W. This stone is on campus, but it's clear over a ways on campus. But this is the scene she wants in the background, so I just took photographs at the right time of day so that I could bring it over here and put it in and have it work well with everything else that was going on with the lighting. So transplanted the stone and then put all this together and painted it, and she was lovely. She let me photograph her out here, and when I first came and met with her, I had my daughter with me and my wife with me, and she let my daughter put her cap on her little head, and it was kind of a special experience having a university president pay attention to my little girl. Anyway, when I was done with this painting and I delivered it, and then I got word that she wasn't satisfied with it. And so I came down and looked at it again, and I I thought, oh my goodness, I thought I did it the best I could, but I can see where that could be an issue, because I have a tendency to pay close attention to detail and put it in. Sometimes I overemphasize a little bit, maybe sometimes a lot, I don't know. But apparently that's what I did. And instead of just having her because I did that, I made her look older than she was. And she didn't care for that, of course, what woman would. So I took the painting back and I erred slightly on the other side. And why wouldn't I? I mean, it's lovely. Look how beautiful her face is. This is President Milner. She is lovely. She's smart. She's articulate. She's a wonderful person. She's now in the state legislature and doing great work for the state of Utah. So, did I feel personally insulted because that's how I painted it and you should just like it no matter what because I am the artist? I don't think so. That's just ridiculous. So, that's my little story about this painting, and they're very happy with it. And then here's the next president that followed President Milner. This is President White. And neither of these presidents wanted to be featured in an office with bookshelves and lots of wood furniture and a wood desk or any of that kind of stuff. But President White, he particularly wanted it fairly simplistic. And so I borrowed this chair from a local art, the Eccles Community Art Center, quite a well-known old mansion that's been turned into a community art center. And I borrowed this chair, and it did not have this color upholstery. It's some kind of mauves or reddishy, some kind of colors that weren't green anyway. But I knew that green and purple really looked pretty darn nice together, so I completely altered the color of the upholstery to go with this, these robes that he was wearing. Now, there was not intended to be a cat here. The school is the Weber Wildcats. And I'm painting along in here. I'm working on this painting. And it occurs to me that it would be fun to put a wildcat just chilling right on the floor next to President White. Now, I am thinking this is a great idea. I didn't even consider that I should go ask for permission. I just thought this is a good idea. I'm going to do it. But at the time I was teaching art classes, and some of my, they were all women around my age, and some of them expressed some real concern that I should not do that without getting permission. And so I finally succumbed, and I made an appointment with President White and his wife, and we met at their house. And I am so glad I did. You don't know what's going on in the world around you, what's happening in the energy of the earth, or whatever you want to call it. But while I was at their house and showing them these options, I had it with one cat, I had another cat over there, and I had it with just this cat or just the other cat. I was giving them some options, but they preferred it simple like this. But the reason that this appealed to them so much is when she had been a college student, and there was a young artist at the university, wherever it was she went, that painted a picture of a jungle with her laying on the ground. She wasn't very large overall in the painting. The painting was, 24 by 16 maybe. And there was kind of a pool of water, and she's on the other side of the water laying down kind of up on her shoulder or something like that, kind of like that. I can't remember exactly. Anyway, her reflection in the water was a tiger. So she had already, in artwork, previously been represented as a wildcat, just a different kind of wildcat. And so for President White and his wife to have this wildcat in the painting was a subtle but meaningful to them way of having them both in his presidential portrait. So who knew? You know, these ideas come to you, and then you get talking to people, and it's not just an artsy idea, it's a significant symbolic idea in some occasions, like it was in this one. So kind of fun. So yeah, it's all right to let clients give their input. It makes the story more complete. Now the next one is a family that lives close to me here. They're about a mile from my studio. And this boy, Everett, he was coming over to the studio on a fairly regular basis. He was kind of an art liker. And he eventually got his siblings coming over. They would ride their bikes over here and come in and visit with me, and visited my candy dish. And it was kind of fun. Cute kids. I go to church with these kids. Several of these kids I've taught what you might call a young Sunday school class. My wife and I team taught, and so we got to know some of these kids. And eventually, they brought their parents over, and the parents commissioned this painting. And you might say, well, that's kind of like Robinson Crusoe, or you might say, wow, look, they're dressed up like pirates, but they're not really either of those things. What they are, and the title of the painting is The Crew of the Serendipity. And the Serendipity is the fastest sailing ship on the 7 seas in the 1700s, and they are the crew of that ship. And we know they are because they have made up stories. Their father particularly has been involved in making up bedtime stories for years now of the adventures of the crew of the Serendipity. They've fought against pirates, they've gone on missions for the President of the United States or for the King of England. They just have had wild and wonderful adventures. And each of them have a responsibility. They're clearly a disciplined crew. And as at home, I'm sure they're disciplined because they all play musical instruments. They're very disciplined and educated young people. But little Gideon over here, he's the ship repairman. This little tool bag, I just made that up while I was in the process of painting that section. And I put his paintbrush in and his little screwdriver in there, and he's got his hammer over his shoulder. I didn't make up the hammer, he had that there. And these tools were just tucked in his belt, but I just gave him a little tool pouch. And then Lewis here, he's got his doctor bag. He's a ship physician, ship doctor. And I altered that a little bit from the bag. They actually had a bag. I just altered a little bit to make it look more from an older time. And then their little daughter here, Arda, I found this dress on Etsy and I bought it and they liked it. And so we ended up using it in the painting. And her job on ship is the librarian and chart keeper. And in the adventures, he's doing doctor work. He's doing ship repair at different times. They need some ship repair. He's doing it. She's getting the charts out for whatever adventure they're on. And then Eden, she's the first mate, and she's often up here in the crow's nest. So she needed this nice spy glass so that she could look out into the ocean to see if they were catching up with the pirates or whatever it is going on in their stories. And when I photographed them, and they weren't all in these exact positions, we shuffled them around. And the parents, can you believe I let the parents have input? They had input. They decided which image of each child best represented the personality of each child. And then I shuffled them around and put them into this composition and then worked out the painting. But Eden, she was holding a stick when we did this photograph. So I'm looking around online and find a nice spyglass, and then I just painted it right in there. And then Summit here, he had a plastic toy lightsaber right there tucked in his belt. And I just was so fortunate. Online I found an early American naval high officer's sword. And so I just painted that right in there. So it's got this historic period stuff actually right into the painting of this make-believe story on a Caribbean beach when they were actually photographed on the beach here in Huntsville, Utah, a little mountain valley where the sand color is actually dirt color, but I just changed the color. The final edit is the brush. Anyway, Cannon here, he's a cute little guy, and he gave us this super little Peter Pan type shadow that we had no idea that was going to happen. It just was just serendipitous. And then, of course, Everett, our ship cook, who sometimes beats the bad guy over the head with his skillet and sometimes deflects bullets with the same. So, kind of fun. Family had input, I had input, put it all together, and everyone is so happy. Now, this sky back here, this sky is a picture I found online at one of those photograph sites where you can go in and pay so much and use the picture. So the sky had a beach on it and everything, and I just cropped the beach off because I didn't want to use that. And it was flipped the other direction. So I just took the part I wanted and flipped it, and so I got this really nice background sky that just happened to work really well for being able to show off that ship. So anyway, a lot of stuff can go into artwork. It's not all right out of my imagination. It doesn't have to be out of yours all the time either, but there you go. There's just an example. All right, and then my last example I'm going to share with you. See how much time are we getting? We're at about a half hour. I'll try to make this one quick. So this is Mount Ogden right here. It's part of Snow Basin Ski Resort in the fall, of course. This is a place where world-class skiing takes place in the winter. Hiking and cycling happen in the rest of the year. You can see little parts of ski lifts in there. And to get this to be a composition that I wanted to work well for the space and the size of the canvas we wanted to use, I took these heels that were actually came down further before we got to this sagebrush and these scrub oaks, and I just took out part of that and by lifting up the foreground over the top of them. So I actually shortened the mountain a bit, but it looks great, so everybody's cool with it. We actually went on location in various spots of different mountain peaks that they really liked and took photographs, and then so I could find out what ones they liked. And then I would go back at different times of day and see what the shadows were like. I wanted some shadows on these cliffs. It's much more dynamic than if they were just all lit the same amount by the sun. So we got a picture of the image they liked with the lighting that worked best and brought it together. And one thing they wanted, because they ski here in the winter, but they come here in the summer and they ride their bikes and they go hiking. And if you'll notice right in this area, there's a little parking lot with some little cars right there. And you would think that's the kind of thing, kind of like a telephone pole, you edit it out. But no, that's part of their experience that they have here. So did I take their advice? Did I do what they wanted? Did I let them have input? Did I sell out by letting them see how silly it is? It's just silly. This is artwork. This is their artwork, whether it's a commission or if it's not a commission. If I paint it well, it's art. Why not make them happy? Anyway, so those are my examples. Now consider your clients. They are they're thinking people. They're children of the same creator God that you are, and they have elements of creativity in their souls, and they can have some ideas too. So certainly they're not going to stand over your shoulder and control everything. That's ridiculous. Anybody that's got sense enough and wherewithal to commission paintings are not going to require their artists to become non-artists that way. So anyway, it's cool. It's all cool. So it's kind of like we all have in our DNA a little of this creativity, some element of it. This creator God, our eternal Father, we've got some of that. It's like we're all at different degrees in the family business of creation. Kind of a fun thought, huh? So happily, those of us who call ourselves artists have a little more stronger dose of that creativity, or at least a stronger dose of the passion and desire to use that creativity, explore it, to develop it, to express it by creating art things. and we enjoy it. And other people may do that some other time in the afterlife. I don't know, but it's a good thing that we have accountants doing accounting, because if we were all painting, we'd be in trouble. So anyway, go forth boldly. Don't fear. Well, don't fear too much, but at least not enough to stop you. Now, I would ask, you can subscribe. That'd be great. Go ahead and subscribe. It'd be wonderful. It'd make it easier for you to get the next video, and it'd be worth getting, because there's content. I believe I'm giving you good content, and I've had experience. But what I really want you to do is share. And I challenge you to share with at least 2 other people. And every time you see one of my videos, share with 2 people, not the same 2 people. Don't cheat. Because if I'm sharing this information with you and you benefit from it because you use it, or it expands your perception of what you're capable of, and you explore and you work at it and you develop and you become more, and the world around you, your clients, get a better experience because of your improving yourself through the information that you pick up here and other places, then that doesn't hurt me. It doesn't hurt my ability to make a living as an artist. It improves it. And if the people that you share with, your 2 people each time, 2, then they improve, and pretty soon there's better quality of artwork happening, and the artists are more enthused. The artists are more juiced because they're struggling with it, but it's improving. They're getting better. That just feels so good. Then the clientele are going to sense it, and they're going to buy more artwork, and it's not going to hurt your sales. We're all going to, it's like that proverbial tide raises all our little boats. So my request is that you share. This is how you can share. I'm sure you share in a lot of ways, but as far as my content is concerned, this is how you can share. You can put it out. You can add to other people's lives, everybody else's lives. So please do that. It's been a pleasure to share this with you. I hope it's been valuable to you. Have a great day.